Hello and welcome to Vegan Cafe 21. Today we are making a roasted eggplant spread. This is a two-part recipe. So for the first part we are going to roast our eggplant in our oven. If you don't want to do that, you can also boil it on your stove top, just drain it and use it. The second part is preparing a base for our eggplant. So let's get started. Here I have a 1.5 pound by weight eggplant that I have washed and dried. In this cup, I have 4 cloves of garlic. If your garlic is big, you can use 2 and then cut them up. Here I have some pink salt, about 3/4 of a teaspoon. We are also going to use some freshly ground black pepper and extra virgin olive oil. So all we need to do now is, first of all, start preheating our oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and line a baking tray with parchment paper, which I've already done here. So now I'm going to just cut this eggplant in half. There. This also kind of shows us the health of the eggplant on the inside. So now I'm just going to drizzle it with olive oil, grind some black pepper on it, a sprinkle of pink salt. You can use as much or as little salt as you like. I think I'm gonna leave it at that. And now I'm just gonna make just a little slit here and a little slit here. You can do 2 if you like. And the reason I made those slits was because I want to stuff my garlic cloves in my eggplant. So I'm just slicing them in half and just stuff them in the slits that you just made. If you really love garlic, you can add another couple of cloves, but I think for this size eggplant, these should bring enough flavor. Now we bring our eggplants facing up onto our parchment lined baking tray. Just a little more olive oil can't hurt. And now we transport it into our preheated oven for about 35 minutes. Our eggplant is in the oven, so let's move on to the second part of our recipe, which is preparing the base for our roasted eggplant. Here I have about 1 large diced onion. By weight it is 10 ounces. You can use more onion or less, but more is better, I would say. These are mild green chilies, long green chili peppers. If you don't have these, you can use deseeded, deveined jalapeno peppers. Back here I have 1 tablespoon of grated ginger. Next to our board here, these are about 2 to 3 medium-sized tomatoes that I have pureed. About 1 or 1.25 cups of tomato puree. These are frozen green peas, half a cup of them. If you don't like green peas, you can omit this, but they really go well with the eggplant. For spices, I'm using 1 teaspoon of mustard seeds, 1 tablespoon of coriander powder, half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, 1 teaspoon of red chili powder. This is a mild variety, more for color and less for heat. Feel free to use more or less of the red chili powder. Here I have about 3/4 of a teaspoon of pink salt. Use salt to your taste and liking. We have also sprinkled some salt on our eggplants before putting them in the oven. We'll also grind some fresh black pepper, and to start off the preparation of our base, we'll use some extra virgin olive oil. So I've placed a large enough skillet on our stove top. Turn the heat on under the skillet, and I'm going to add some olive oil to the bottom of it, roughly 3 tablespoons. Our oil is hot and ready for us, so I'm going to add mustard seeds. As soon as the mustard seeds hit the hot oil, they should start cracking up. Once they start popping and cracking, we are going to bring in our onions. So our onions are almost there. They're on their way to turning lightly golden brown, which is how we want them. Now we turn the heat down and start adding our remaining ingredients. So I bring in the green chilies and grated ginger. Give them about 15 to 20 seconds to get to know the onions. And now we invite our spices. Give them a mix. Make sure your heat is on low at this point because you don't want to run the risk of burning your spices. In about 15-20 seconds, you want to cook out the smell of turmeric, which only takes a few seconds. And now we can add our crushed tomatoes. You can increase your heat to about medium at this point to help cook out the tomatoes. Our tomatoes look done. The moisture has evaporated. Bring in our frozen peas, mix them in, add our salt. Again, add a little bit of salt at first. Once you add your roasted eggplant to this dish, mix everything in. You can give it a taste test and then add more salt if needed. We'll let the peas get tender and then we'll turn the heat off and wait for our eggplant. See, our eggplant is out of the oven. We're going to cover them with a lid and let them rest on the counter covered for about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll come back and scoop the pulp, bring it into our base gravy that we prepared. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes. Let's see how we're doing. If I were to touch it, you can see it's all nice, soft and mushy. So using a spoon, I'm just going to scoop out the pulp like this. If it's nicely roasted, done all the way, you won't have trouble scooping it out. And transfer it to a bowl for the ease of bringing it to our skillet. It's important to leave it covered and rest on the counter before you do this. That's what makes this step easy. The other way, of course, is if you don't want to roast them in the oven, you can always boil them like I said. And then drain the liquid and just use the flesh part of it to make your recipe. Now break up the garlic cloves like that. Also sort of cut into the strands of your eggplant, so it's easier for you to mix everything in once it goes into the skillet with onions and tomatoes. Now we turn the heat on under our skillet and bring it in with the rest of the good stuff. Use the back of your wooden spoon to sort of break everything up nicely and incorporate it with your sauce. Make sure you loosen up all the strands of the eggplant and break them up nicely for the ease of spreading later on when you serve it with something. Time to plate it up. There you have it. Delicious oven roasted eggplant spread served alongside gluten-free crepes. I will post a link for these crepes in the description box below. Feel free to serve this spread with anything of your choice. It can be crackers, tortilla chips, or what have you. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Please do give it a try. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon with more vegan favorites.